What's up, folks? Matt McQueenie here of the Mix Minus podcast, and I wanted to do a quick hitter on the new rumors of the iPad Pro. I don't know if it will be called the iPad Air Pro or whatever. Or they'll come up with a new Earth, Wind, and Fire name, but the rumors were purported by Mako Takara, who has had rumors in the past that have been proven right, and the site basically says that the iPad Pro, I keep wanting to say iPad Air Pro, that the iPad Pro will be a 12.2-inch display, down from the last rumored 12.9-inch display. So, of course, these rumors are upon rumors because nobody at Apple will confirm or deny the existence of this, which has really almost taken on the mythology of a unicorn. They might as well call it the iUnicorn. And it's trying to get, I guess, into the business market. Apple partnered with IBM, I think, over the last year or so to try to get into companies, and that's really a big place where you can get in there and get a lot of clients and work. I mean, think about how well Microsoft has done by just being embedded within the business community. It really sustained them for many years because of the fact that once you're in there, it's hard to get out. Businesses are not the type of entities that will change course very often. Google has tried with their docs, which are pretty good in their apps, but it's hard to change City Hall. It's hard to change out of that kind of sentiment of this is how we've always done things. It's like turning I heard a quote yesterday and I forgot where it was from, but someone had said, not about this, but about another thing, that it was like trying to turn a battleship around in a bathtub or something. So that does get difficult. So Apple trying to partner with IBM, all the consumers really have these iDevices. And so if you can partner with an IBM and then these consumers who are bringing their own devices to work and using them on the side, sort of like I do. I have a computer at work with two screens and it's a PC, and I will use my Microsoft documents and all that. But on the side, I have my iPad, my iPhone. That's where I'm doing all my consumer things. I will answer mail. I'll do things like that outside of work, and even inside of work, I'll carry my iDevices around to meetings and such. But this is where Apple's really trying to get in there. I had not realized that this Microsoft Surface is about a 12-inch display. And of course, those Microsoft Surfaces have the big screen, and they have the detachable kind of cover keyboard. And I think that is one of the big issues with the iPad, is that you really cannot, and it might be with the Android tablets too, they really are not meant to be creative entities. They're not meant to do long form work on. They're really meant to consume. I will consume hours upon hours on my iDevices, whether it's audio, whether it's video, whether it's magazines and content and websites. I will spend so many hours on it. But the minute I want to do something for work, I typically will head to my at home, what am I calling it? My PC, my laptop, and that's where I'll do my kind of heavy power user work. I will write music on my iPad with the GarageBand app. That's great, but it has not infiltrated my being to the point where I really feel comfortable working. Even when I get the Bluetooth keyboards, it's like you're used to having a mouse or you're used to having the touchpad on your laptop. And so it all feels kind of off. So you have your normal keyboard that you might attach to it. Used to be through the base pins, or, obviously, like I said, now through Bluetooth is a good way to do it. Just doesn't feel right. It seems like it's like kind of trying to throw with your right hand. I'm a lefty. You're trying to throw with your opposite hand, or try to do things that just don't feel completely natural. Laptops and computers still feel natural for doing work. And so maybe with a 12.2 display, Apple will be able to get into this market if they have some kind of very usable keyboard, if they have some way to kind of bridge the divide, which is difficult for users, between going on a mouse and a touchpad to typing and then scrolling on your screen. But that could be something they do. Going bigger obviously did very well with the iPhone, going from their 3.5-inch and 4-inch display towards the new 6, the iPhone 6 4.7-inch display and the iPhone 6 Plus 5.5-inch display. Going bigger has blown up the market. They've just sold like crazy. You can't even get the phones still. Called Verizon yesterday to try to see when they were available. They're still saying like 2 weeks to get either one of them. Very difficult to get. Now, that could be them kind of playing around and futzing around with the demand to appear even bigger and better than maybe it was. But that was a surprise that they don't have enough for people. But maybe doing that with the iPad, going to the bigger display, going to a more work-friendly, something that'll take up your entire view instead of the 9.7 inch, which I love the 9.7 inch iPad, but again, I'm not amazingly comfortable sitting down to do a lot of work on it. I still will go to my laptop. Now, you go to a 12.2 inch or a 12 inch, whatever it might be, that could change. And they have some kind of keyboard, and Apple does their magic on making a user interface with a keyboard that makes a lot of sense, playing to the sentiment of how you bridge that gap between having a mouse to using your finger to work. That will be tough. I don't think anybody loves the keyboards on the iDevices, the ones that are embedded. It's still the best way to go about phones and tablets in terms of what we've known to now. They obviously killed the market of the BlackBerry, which had the keyboard on the phone. That ended up being a waste of screen space. So it is the best option, but I don't think for working it is the best option. So they need to get some kind of keyboard aspect that they can Applefy it. And maybe they can do it because the cost of tablets are still way less than the cost of good laptops. We're not talking about Chromebooks, which could be a couple $100s. Chromebooks are good, but again, it's using those Google apps, which are fine, but there might not be perfect interfacing between the way you do work now in the Microsoft environment and the way you could do work in the Google environment. Getting better, but you could be left kind of adrift in that world. And the fact that you have to really be on Wi-Fi to use its full functions, that can be a difficulty for people too. Even though we all have Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere, having a laptop where you can work offline completely without any missed opportunities, that's a big deal. So new iPads, the thickness is somewhere they're saying around 7 millimeters. The iPad Air original was about 7.5 millimeters. The new one is somewhere around 6.6, maybe 6.5 or so, 6.6 millimeters, which is too thin. You get to a 12.2 inch screen, that kind of thinness is scary because then you got an enormous screen held together by such a small form factor. So they need to get a little thickness to it. And we'll see where we go from there. I don't want to poo-poo it. It does seem like not innovative to just push screen sizes on your things and not change the guts or change the applications. But Apple's done very well, obviously, and they haven't quite gotten into the business market. So if they can get into the business market, consumers might not love it. It might be like their Microsoft moment where you can go on for a decade and a half just minting money without really making any true innovations. That might make the true Apple fan who's been there from kind of the beginning or been there from the beginning of the iDevices might not make you extremely happy, but for the bottom line, it might do very well for Apple. And I think that is something to bridge that divide into the work world is a very important thing. So thanks. This has been great. Matt McQueenie of the Mix Minus Podcast. You can find that at MatthewMcQueenie.com. You can find the Mix Minus Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, Overcast, Instacast, Cast, up and down the line. And please review, please subscribe. This has been great. Over and out. Happy Sunday.